Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Stefanie Joseph Podcast. This is a guest episode with somebody that's already been on the show, which is super fun. And now we get to talk more about her. Let's welcome my lovely friend, Lisa Duggar, on the show. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. I get to be that person now, right? This
You
is the fifth
are.
time on the podcast. You get to be.
You are. And that is like the space that I want to create, that it's conversations. That there's no agenda except for this curiosity of life and, exploring. Of course, I talk personally about grief and that journey, and you get a lot of my my voxers with that type of stuff. But I also want to bring on just, real life conversations and stories. And you and I have now been working together and friends for a long time, huh? I can't.
Mhm.
It's probably
I think
almost
we're at a
getting
year.
close to a
Next year.
yeah, a year, I feel like.
May, yeah.
Yeah.
With Allison in January.
Yeah. I don't know. Like this year,
Maybe.
I don't know about you. I mean, time is going super fast, but this year feels like a lifetime just in these
Yes.
7 months. So, but I know you and I were talking, or been talking for a few weeks. You're in my nurtured network, my nurtured connection network, and you have been an entrepreneur for quite a few years, but in your own magic for even less of a few years. 3 years?
Yeah. I think it's only been a year and 8 months.
Year and 8 months. Okay.
Like I think LinkedIn or something showed me that. I was like, oh yeah, it has been a year and
That's
7 months since
oh,
because
that's
it's January of 22.
January of
Okay, yeah.
22.
Yeah, and
Awesome.
all of a sudden I was like, oh God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, said, oh, you're gonna be a life coach.
Hello, welcome. Well, and that's part of what I wanted to bring you on, and you'll be back. I know that. I had a podcast called Transition Podcast, and I didn't want to just document the ending. Like, okay, this is how I got to where I was, and these are all the steps that I got there. Like, I wanted it to be more of expressing the messy middle. And I think, the entrepreneur space, there is talk out there, but like especially when we are in pivots in life, pivots in business, it's not always talked about. And so to have these candid conversations, we didn't script this, right? We're just here having this amazing conversation. Our first one was about sister wound, and
Oh yeah.
that was just an organic conversation. And so I wanted to bring you on and just hear you talk about this journey of inspiring, because I know that is a part of your brand and a part of you. But what really led you into, okay, you said that January, 22, you're going to be a life coach. Like, let's kind of go backtrack and then let's see where the
Yeah,
conversation goes.
I mean, in January of 2022, I was in my coach Sue, human design. Actually, now that I'm thinking, I mean, we haven't even really like talked about it in this format. Sue Jones Miranda is something with human design, everything human design. She has playbooks and things like that. And I was in something called The Experiment with her. And we are going through our vision, our mission, and our purpose stuff through our human design. And that's where all of a sudden I started doing that. And like, that's where the whole inspiration word and all the ideas came from. And that's where all of a sudden it just changed. Yeah, I was deep in human design and figuring out who I am, what I do, and validating who I am, which is what human design does for me.
Hmm.
And there we went from there.
So did you have a moment like of, because signs and synchronicities have been really hot for me. I'm going to be launching a workshop on it because it's just been so prevalent for me lately. Did you have a aha that led you into that work, or did you just have this curiosity and you started exploring
No,
and
it's literally what I would call an epiphany. That's how it happens for me. It's just all of a sudden, yeah, it's like you're going to do this, and it's just a thing. But I mean, I don't have to listen often enough. I don't ask enough. I don't hear. Yeah, I don't hear it enough that it happens. That throughout my lifetime, there have been. I remember before I moved to Ohio, I was in Connecticut. I was in a relationship I needed to get out of and stuff like that. And my mom lived here. I think I was like, what should I do? Should I move to Ohio? Like, What am I going to do? And like 2 weeks later, you move into Ohio. Packed up within 3 days. I would probably within 2 weeks, I got my answer. Within 2 weeks more, I was gone and I was living in Ohio. When it's just these, I don't know, it's just this, you just know. It tells you what to do when you do it.
You do it. Yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah. In January, it was like that, just doing that. I was like, oh, what does that mean? And then the rest of the answers followed with the workshops. And I mean, it started with, we talked about, the first thing was I just felt like I never knew I wanted to be a writer. But the first thing was I want to inspire other people and I want to write about it. So that's where I started with the website. And I was like, I'm going to start a blog. And she's like, wait, you should try to do a website. So I did a website and I just started writing.
Mm.
And then it just went from there.
I was talking to, I went and met with some friends from school, high school, some of them all the way from elementary last night. And we were talking about how sports these days are, if it's not going to get a scholarship, you don't do it, right? We're not playing for fun anymore. Like it's just this, these kids aren't starting at an early age, but that it sparked what you were saying. Like you just started writing because you enjoyed it and you had this desire to inspire, created a website to desire to inspire without really knowing. Like, I feel like you can go into two different directions into entrepreneurship, right? Like you can go into it solely for the money driven, right? I'm sick of working for the man and all of those things. Or you go into it for this, I want to be of service. I want to be the one that inspires and then allow the chips to fall. And I think that that's so awesome that you just started doing that and writing and inspiring through your own stories and being a storyteller. And then, some workshops come through and start teaching these workshops. You want to talk a little bit about that experience of deciding to be, this teacher. You are 6'2", right? In your human design, for those that know human design, Manny Jen. So do you want to share a little bit about that? Like, okay, started writing, and then what led to the workshops? Was it another epiphany type thing, or just?
Yeah, I think that there was something called Skill Path. When I used to be in corporate America, there was a company called Skill Path would send these. I was the secretary at the office. You get these things folded up and you'd open them up and it was all about this flyer about the Skills Path workshop and the learning you could go to. And I was like, can I go? My boss, can I go? Can I learn how to do this or learn how to do that? So I'd always gone to workshops. And I was like, well, maybe I can take what I've learned. The three things that were most important to me were my daily habits, presence, and boundaries. And I was like, maybe I can teach about those. So I started at home, its own library. And then you and I have been through the journey. I was going to do it digitally, and that doesn't feel right. And I've created a great space with boundaries. And I wanted to do it in the community. I've created a great space with those people, but it turned into these 5 or 6 people that were basically my friends that were coming to my workshops. And no matter what I was doing, we've talked about this, no matter what I was doing, ads, what I was doing wasn't resonating with people outside in the Instagram or Facebook world. But I have created the community with those friends. And so now we meet, like you have your community too. We meet, my friends meet, but that's all it is now. And I'm like, the workshops just aren't working. You talk about transitioning. The workshops just aren't drawing people and it's not what really makes me happy. And so now we're back to writing. What really inspired me, what really makes me happy is writing. And where's that going to go? Where's me telling my stories and writing about it going to lead? We don't know.
We don't know. And
doing what you love doing.
Yes. And that I'm having this conversation with you in the last couple of weeks of like, does this workshop actually light you up?
It's your fault.
It's my fault. I know. And like that, and I don't feel guilty because I think so many of us do the thing, especially in the entrepreneur space of, these like, this is why I created the network, is because I, realized in the coaching environment, the coaching space, I hired a couple of coaches, high end. I spent thousands of dollars on them, and I was led down paths that was more aligned to what they thought business was, instead of bringing out, coach to me brings out the things inside of you. What isn't it you, and they guide you on that path to bringing you out. And I was realizing that, I've always said that it's not the money that motivates you. Sure, drop $1 million into my lap, I'll do some good with it. Yes. But for me, it was more about inspiring and encouraging people to remember themselves and to, find their truths. And that's always what it's been. And especially over these last, I would say, 10 months, to a year, like where I'm like, it all comes back to that thing that lit me up in the very beginning, and this journey of coming back to that thing, it's been a ride. And witnessing you in that ride has been such a beautiful thing, because you set out to inspire people, and the workshops were inspiring people, and it was things that were important to you, and you could have kept pushing through. You could have kept, like you even tried, the advertising route on Facebook, and tried all of these things. And then when you actually sit with yourself, and when I sit with myself, and I witnessed you do it too, when you sat with yourself, you're like, wait a minute, what am I doing? And then it comes back to that initial thing that is like,
Uh-huh.
wait, I had to go on this, because I don't think there's ever a wrong journey, a wrong path that we go on. It's a
Right.
path, it's a journey, that, and most of the time it comes back to that, that initial spark of service or inspiration.
Letting go of everything else you thought, right? You and I have talked about it, like being like burning it down. We don't, I use the word like it just, scorch the earth. We're not doing that anymore. And it's not, right. It's not that, but I've been in the spaces where I was like, I'm not going to do that. And then I was like, okay, we're going to try again. You don't want to be a quitter and completely turn around. But I tried again. Right. Advertising. I tried a different avenue. One of the dogs is going to come inside. And then it didn't work. And you have to go, you're not a loser. You're not a loser. Sorry. Like we said,
Okay.
we're talking about this, right? The world's changed. We can actually get up from a podcast to let the dog in.
It
Come
is
on.
right. This is real life. And I'm proud of
Right.
you for letting the dog in the middle of the podcast, because we also talked about that.
I always say that every time I do a tape or something else, you're probably going to see one of the dogs at some point. To let go of what doesn't work. Yeah. And just go back to something else. And people can say, I was just thinking of this is not, are we lucky to have the opportunities that we have because we both have husbands who work and do other things? Because one of my friends is like, well, you're lucky you have that opportunity. And I was thinking, well, if you didn't go on vacation all the time, you could pursue your loves and your hobbies.
Yeah, there is something to speak to that. And it actually was coming up when you were talking. There is different, privileges, and there is different abilities to be able to navigate the entrepreneur space. And I also am in complete gratitude for the opportunity that I have. I remember I was working with a partner, we were building an online space, and it needed to be go, 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 go. But when we first initially set it up, it was like, let's let this thing organically grow. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, money needs to be what drives this. And I was like, but that's not the intention that I had in the beginning. And I communicated that very well. And that partnership ended up sizzling out. And part of it was because she needed the income, she needed that money. And for me, I was navigating, and then in the middle of it also I lost my sister, so that added into the mix, where I'm like, well, my priorities have completely shifted right now for at least who knows how long, but at least an interim. But I like, in being able to reflect on that, I am very grateful that I have a little bit more flexibility. And
And now the husband's home. Did you not hear me say? Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
But I also I think that I like to speak to those. For me personally, I like to speak to, that I'm not constricted by,
Right.
I'm able to pay my mortgage. I'm able to pay my bills.
Right.
We live comfortably. But I also honor the part of me that was laid off at the beginning of 2022 from a job that had security, and processing the grief of that rejection and all of that, then it was like, oh, okay, it's time to jump. And that's scary. That's a scary part of it too. So I think that that's part of the reason why I love just having these kind of conversations, because I don't know where they're going to go, but it's just about two people sharing a journey, two people navigating, this space. And there's going to be times, especially if you are a soulful entrepreneur, that there's going to be pauses, pivots, desires to burn the thing down. I was ready to burn my mastermind down. And then I really sat with it, and I was like, is it a demolish, or is it just a regroup. And what is my intention? I wanted to create a space that people could be growing their business, that aren't having to spend thousands and thousands of dollars, but can have the network, the connection. And so then I'm like, okay, create that, right? Create that. And here you are in that space of like, I still want to inspire. It doesn't mean, we were just talking like, okay, update the website, but just hide the workshops, because it doesn't mean that it has to be gone or forever blown up, but burnt to the ground. But that it can be like I'm feeling like this word of like this revitalizing of your passions, and allowing yourself to speak. To me, when you speak, when you use that throat that's divine, you're speaking about all of the things. Then what's to say that an actual program or something that emerges from that you are lit the fuck up about, like you're like, yes, this is the thing, or a thing.
Yeah. You talking about like entrepreneur, I'm always like, the word. It's always, because I get maybe it could be all the fact that entrepreneurial always to me is like the person who's going to break the rules, do out their own thing, go out there and make all that money. Maybe that's why I viscerally react to the word entrepreneur. That's not who I've usually been. And I always thought I would be in corporate America. One of the slogan for my coaching was consciously choose your what next. That's even what I'm doing right now, right? I'm going, is this really what I want to be doing? Because if I keep going down this road, it's not making me happy. So what do I really want to go back to? And what do I consciously want to choose next? And we don't have corporate jobs that can feel so uncomfortable. And this can be so uncomfortable. And you said, I wrote down Darren Hardy, the entrepreneur roller coaster. You've heard of that?
Yeah.
I mean, Darren, he talks about what this is like. This is all about, this being a corporate job is so much freaking easier. You know where you're going, you know what you're doing. Somebody's telling you what to do and you're supposed to do, and they might change their minds all the time, but you know where you're going. And this way you just have to figure it out and feel your way through it and hopefully be true to yourself. And
yeah. And in my work, because I've worked with coaches that shame those that go into corporate space, and I don't. I view it as, how, especially when it comes to your nervous system, there's sometimes in your life that you need that security, right? And you go through some change in your life, and having that continuous paycheck is that security that your body needs in that moment. It's just a it's just a path to choose. It's just a choice to make, right? And
right.
I've talked to my husband about, he tried the entrepreneur thing for a little bit and it just wasn't his thing, and he loves his job, and he loves what he does and what he's created. He also loves security, and so to be able to support him in that and say, okay, that's what you love and this is what I love. Like I
Right.
kind of like the roller coaster. Like there's a thrill in it for me. There's and sometimes I wonder, I had an experience the other day, I was coming home from a celebration of life, and I want to be in the space to support the energetics of grief and the collective grief people are feeling. And I was like, I'm driving home and I'm like, it'd be so nice to just go back to sleep, to not have to be, and literally like in that moment, it's, I started having back pain, and then I've been able to like trace it back of like that part of me that was like, no, I'm going to snap you out of it and you're gonna, but yeah, I like to also honor the part of me that does, sometimes wish that I wasn't lit up by, the being of service, being in community care. To me, that's, what, soulful business is caring for the community, caring for people. And it doesn't mean you can't do that in a corporate space. It's just, this is the route that I've chosen to be on.
Now, I thought about this and then you brought me back to it, that this is like, now's a promotion for your, you don't call it mastermind, your network. Is that like the thing you bring to that is the experience of having done this coaching thing for all this time. You have a lot of experience with like project management, how things could go. You're good at like, what are you going to do? And how are we going to do this? And, what are we going to do for the week? And at the same time, right, being human design into it, and then being like, No boundaries. Is that really what you want to be doing? Meanwhile, I'm over here killing myself doing my slides, and then I'm like, and it goes out within hours of me getting to ready to record the second episode or whatever. You're like, is that really what lights you up? And I go, no, guess I'm not doing that. So
I
you
was
bring all
telling
of those into the whole thing. Like you can make me get all the way there, and then also go, really, is that what you want to do? So you bring all that into that whole package, which is unique to you.
thank you. And part of me is like, oh, is that like who creates a business about following what lights you up, right? Because
Right.
sometimes you're going to realize that it actually isn't the thing you were doing that lights you up. And, I had told you it wasn't me that brought this into my space, but I was working with Luis Mojica with Holistic Life Navigation and bringing somatics into the work. And he had
He
made the
needs to
comment
be
that
on.
the people that come and work with him, he has a high percentage of them that quit their jobs or quit their business because you realize how much you're not in your business. Like your business isn't what's lighting you up, and you're just kind of going through the motions. And that's how my entrepreneurial journey has been. And I'm a 1-3 for those that are not into human design. I meant to be an investigator. I meant to create things sometimes, and I'm also like meant to do it through my experiences. And so sometimes things aren't meant to last. And when I learned to embrace that rather than shame myself for it, I've been very open and sharing about the changes in my entrepreneur journey. But I'm also like really getting very confident in the idea that if you are not in love with what you do, stop.
Yeah.
Fine. If it's you don't have the ability to let it go because it does provide a financial means for you, then find the pieces of it that light you up and put your energy into those spaces, and allow pieces of it to die, allow pieces of it to go. Because I do believe that when we, like, I'm really, really excited to like see this experiment with you, that as you let go of the pieces that don't light you up and then put your energy into the things that do, what actually is possible for you, what
And I
opens
know how
up.
that magic works. I just forget.
Yeah.
It's not always, it's like, I feel like you have to be in that. You can hear all those words they talk about, high vibes and positive vibes. So that could be as fake as you want it. But when you're doing what makes you happy, for me, that happens naturally. And then I feel that way. And then when I don't feel that way, I feel crappy. And then when I do, you turn around, there's magic, and there's angel numbers, right? And then there's if I left you the long message about the girl at the store. I don't know. I got in this really thing. And so I go to the store and I'm going to get kombucha and I don't have money. And I see the lady I never see and she works at the doctor's office. I'm like, oh, maybe we should ask her for money because you're only taking cash at the store. And then I go outside and she's like, hey, I got some money. She gives me money. Go ahead and get my kombucha. And I was like, my husband's like, that's a very short version of the story. My husband's like, it's a really long story. I go, but there's a lot of pieces that there's no way they all came together in one little synchronistic moment.
Yeah.
If I hadn't been in the right space for that, or to even notice it. Maybe those things happen all the time. We don't notice them. But
Yeah. And I also
being in the magic makes the magic happen.
Yeah. And I also want to speak that we're both a generator type. So we are meant to follow, what brings us joy, follow, respond to the things that are happening. So there is something to speak to that. But yesterday I haven't even shared it with you on our private conversations, because I had a whole like experience like that. And the short story of it was, like,
because you can't talk as fast as I can.
yeah, it just was like, oh my gosh, like if you really can just, it's not even, I think pausing is really, really important, right? To get rid of the noise. But if you can just be centered and very present with what you're doing, presence I know is very important to you. Like if you can be present with what you're doing, you will be led, you will be guided. And you and I have both been on a cacao journey, and most of my intentions through it has been to bring in abundance. And as I say it, like the ego part of me is like, you're speaking about financial abundance. And then what I finally like, my abundance to me is abundance of, conversations, abundance of time, abundance of care, abundance of magic, and now I'm like, okay, let's add in some financial abundance in there as well. like I'm open to receiving that too. But yesterday was one of those days of like, man, I don't want to go to sleep because of the magic that happens, of when you just can just be. and so I love, like, you had a story similarly happening, because I haven't listened to it yet, that it was.
No, I probably did, because it's not it's a very long story, blah, blah, blah. But
So kind of circling back now, you're moving to the space of, or not moving into it. You're circling back and being reminded of why you started in the beginning, was to inspire and to share your experiences through writing, potentially speaking. I know you're working, not potentially, you are speaking. Like, let's speak to that. You are speaking and writing, being a manifesting generator. What do you see coming through for this in this next part of the journey?
I think I was struggling with, what does that look like? Because I don't know.
See,
Like,
that's
I'm working.
Yeah, you're
What,
working
I
on
know,
that,
I need to keep working. What am I supposed to want and do? And I started a new book that she has little bit of a different twist on it, and she got me inspired to, like, okay, and we're back and tracking, but like, the book was like, she's talking about things that make you happy and what you do, and I was like, we're going on vacation, in October, but I'm like, what do I like to do? I like historical things. So I like chat GPT, and I'm like, what can I do for historical while we're there? Because I like to do historical things, because part of me, I just like to be home. But if I can find historical things to do, that lights me up. So what were we doing? We were saying, back
This is
to
what,
writing
imagining, like, yeah, you're now in this new, like,
and what
what
it's
do you
going to
imagine
look
for it to
like.
happen?
I know. I don't know. I
You
still
do
don't get
know.
it.
I'm gonna call you
That I
out.
get to be famous. I always say I get to be famous.
No, just like,
That's what I was like. I don't know what famous looks like, but famous is speaking on stages and talking to people. And you can go, how can you be famous, or how can you make money telling your stories or speaking in front of people? And because I want to be telling my stories, because I don't know how you memorize somebody else's story.
Mhm.
So it has to be telling the story of something that happened to me. Right. So I do my blogs. I do my Toastmasters. Now I've got, so I do write my blog. I use it as a speech on my Toastmasters. I want to compete on Toastmasters. I got to nail that down and work on that. I need a mentor for Toastmasters. If anybody wants to be my mentor for Toastmasters. And then YouTube. So I think YouTube might be the space where okay, you've heard me say it. I just have all these words. Get all these words that I need to be speaking. And they need to get out of me with a defined head, with my defined head, agina, and throat. I'm meant to be speaking and getting all the thoughts out of my head. So I need more space to be able to get words. Maybe once I clear some of the words with my writing and my speaking, there'll be more clarity around some other stuff.
What do
I want to
you
be famous.
what do you want to inspire people to do or be?
You think about that, and I have somebody in my world who we were talking about, she's a 3-5, right? A 3-5 that I want to inspire the people who want to look at their life and their feelings and their things that they're going on and experience the growth and expansion. You and I have had the experiences where you learn about something, or you contemplate in Gene Key, and all of a sudden there's this feeling in your body where we talk about it, like, but human design talks about Gene Keys. Genetically, your body's changed. You've experienced something that you're a totally different person. You will never be the same. You can't unsee what you've seen. And that's the magic, but not everybody is here for that, which can be kind of hard, right? I have somebody in my life who is going through something and wants to jump to just somebody fixing it rather than the journey, which is so much better, but not everybody's meant to go on that journey. So I want to inspire the people that are meant to go on this journey to dig in, do the things, experience. There's so much more to life than just going along, having a job, doing things. And if you're open to those experiences, and my experience has been the resources I share on my website, back to that, the books I read, I'm writing down, you said Luis Mojica. Luis Mojica has changed my life. The way you see things has changed my life. So I need to update the resources on my website so people want to have those experiences. Everything from Darren Hardy, who's all about just doing the stuff every day that makes the difference. And then there's Luis Mojica, who's talking to us about phoning. So, the range is wide for all the things that have inspired me and the things that I've learned and gone through. So I want to inspire people to just live life a little bit differently. There's so much more to, another friend who just goes to her job. Must be nice. I'm like, well, if you wanted that, you could do that, but they don't necessarily want that. So
Expansion, allowing them to expand in their own magic, to expand in the possibilities that this life has to offer.
And we're just crazy, yeah. Now I have an energy healer who's doing theta healing, right? And we're like, what are we even talking? What are you talking about? Are you insane?
Yeah, when you can remove the, I had somebody reach out to me on my Instagram and she said, I hope you don't think that this is crazy. And I said, nothing is crazy in my world. Like,
I can't imagine what there is now.
yeah. And I wrote that back that, especially right now, I feel like, if we are open to seeing it, there is a lot that's happening before our eyes. To me, spirit, the spirit realm, and I've had this conversation, is spirit. Like, we're all spirit, capital S
Right.
spirit. We're all, of God essence. We're, including the animals, plants, trees, music, even, everything can be a part of spirit. And if we can open up and see spirit speaking to us and through us, there is something that happens, and to me, it unlocks the reason why we're here. We've all been, conditioned to have the seeking energy of seeking purpose in life and seeking, why I'm a freaking human, right? Or, all that. And then, when you can rest in the idea that, we are, for me, I'm here to remember the divinity. And in that space is the magic of being spirit and being, that you and I are connected, and I'm also connected to, the hawk that flies overhead to send me a message, right? And there's been times in my own journey where I'm like, is this really real? Like, I mean, can I be making this stuff up? And I just was having a conversation with somebody about, because I talked to my sister and I share that openly, and they're like, well, of course there's going to be a feather in the road, we were on a beach. This was during the celebration, right after she passed away, and we were on the beach, and we're by a pier, so of course there's a lot of birds, right? Of course there's a lot, but that there was like a path of feathers that led to a heart-shaped seashell, that I'm like, okay, I can say,
I'm crying. Thank God.
sorry. But I'm like, I could be in that space of like, okay, this is just a coincidence, but how does that make me feel versus,
Right.
oh my gosh, thank you for speaking to me, for seeing me. I'm going to take this as that you're still here with me. Like, because it fuels my soul. It lights me up. It calms, the grief. And so I'm like, the times where I'm like, is this really real? And now I'm like, why wouldn't it be? And what experience do I want to have in this life? And to me, I want to experience the magic. I want to experience the pain. I want to experience all of it, because that is, to me, that human experience.
Damn cacao.
I know. Yes. Cacao, the beautiful heart opener. Yes. Yes.
That's my next blog post. It'll be my YouTube thing too. All about my cacao experience.
Yeah. See, and inspire people to connect to their heart through your experience of connecting to your heart, right?
I can't imagine. Yeah. Me shit. Like even the magic, right, of Chandel, who, was going to be, I'm like what I started to write a journalistic investigator. I don't think that's the word, but like, as I'm writing my blog, I want to talk to the people I don't usually put people's names and references, real people in my blogs, but as I'm talking about cacao, I'm like, Chandel's talked about asking spirit or whoever how it wants to be shared. And I'm like, well, she wanted to know how it's going to be shared. And then now there's me who's going to share about cacao and get it even further. And even if that doesn't make me any money, now that I'm thinking out loud, that doesn't make me any money. But if I write about that, and then Carissa, who's my energy healer, who helps me with getting off the meds, you put all that together and you put it out in the world. And if it goes somewhere, how many people, even if it changes one life, who cares? How many people's lives could it change?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you brought me cacao. So I was like, what do you mean cacao? Did I get off on a tangent there?
No, I think what it's circling back for me is what we were talking about in the very beginning of you having the epiphany, and just be in that space that I want to inspire. And I'm going to start writing to share my experience, because that's what brings me joy. And I'm just going to start writing without any strings attached to it. And, for me, like anybody that's in that business space, and I guess I'm going to bring in some business advice, like if you can speak to the one, and that one may sometimes be you, right? It might need to be something that needs to move through you and get out. or if that one is somebody that, you know, the person that reached out to me the other day that had a dream and, you know, was able to connect the dot. Like, I genuinely don't care if that person turns around and then buys a program of mine.
Right.
Right. Like, I am so grateful for that connection, because to me, that's what this experience is about. And, you know, here you are stepping into a space of going, you know, like getting back into the things that light you up. And you have been consistent at writing on your blog. You have been consistent,
Yeah.
you know, watching you do your 10-day, you know, challenge of just sharing videos and realizing, wait, I actually really like this. And what if I just was sharing, what if I was sharing something that really lights me up? Like,
Right.
what is the energetics that's going to be behind that versus, okay, I've got this workshop that I really like. It has helped me. Like, it is just a different vibe, right? It's a different,
Yeah.
and we can do things in this life to bring joy. This morning, then we can wrap this up, but I was, had my cacao, and then I was connecting. Been really curious about connecting to different spirit guides of mine, rather than, you know, I speak to my angels, I speak to my people that have passed on. And this very playful, like fairy-like energy came in, and she was like, just be playful. And I was like, okay, how do you show up for me? Like, how do you show up in the space? She's like, the taps on your shoulder when your son comes to tickle you, the things that you like shrug off and you're just like, you know. And I was like, so I just more playfulness. Is it bringing out the tears again?
Yes. Because it's seriousness, right? Isn't that one of your shadows?
Oh, it is. Yes.
Me too. I think mine's somewhere there is in that realm. He's like, right, fun. Like, oh God, fun.
Yeah. You know, but I'm like, just, I don't know. I don't remember why I was telling
That was
this.
your fairy guide. She said when you taps on your shoulder. That's okay.
Yeah, just to have joy, like, because that is what we're here to do. We're here to experience the things, right?
All the experience.
Yeah. So it's going to be enjoyable to watch. I'm going to obviously link your website and your blog. What has been your favorite thing that you have written on your blog?
A year. Ugh. That you should have had me let that think about it.
No, put you on the spot.
Yeah, yeah. What I wrote about my dad visiting, right? That was the most recent one. Like, I don't want people to cry with me because there was so much crying involved with the whole thing, writing after my dad was here visiting. But then for people to be like, "Oh my God, I was crying with you," and that has, you know, that. But you don't want to be evoking people crying all the time. But getting you when you get the
Why?
feedback,
I'm going to challenge you on that one.
No, I mean, you don't want to be playing on people's emotions. I don't know, because like you don't want to be selling based on lack or whatever, those kind of things. You know, I don't know. But
I'm
that
going to
was
bring in my mentor, Luis, again, bringing in that when you are speaking from your body, when you're
right.
speaking from your experiences, there is a genuine nature about that how it touches the other person is not up to you.
Yeah. Okay, so we do my dad, my tears, and the dog died. But we go back to, I liked writing about people not having their phones on in the middle of the night. Like your phone's not on in the middle of the night. And my marketing guy, he was like, he's like, I run a business. So it's a website. Somebody's website is down in the middle of the night. I got to be there for it. And I was like, yeah. And he like, which surprised me. He like didn't actually reach out to me and say, I did what you said. I love that. I love when people are like, we call that, my friends call it, fuck you, Lisa. When you're like, you were right. You know, and when you're, and maybe that's being right, but when you're really, that's F you is having an impact on somebody. When they're like, you're right. I should have done that. So he doesn't, his phone's off in the middle of the night now. When I text him, I'm like, your phone's off. But he didn't say to me, I turned my phone off. But by seeing that, I'm like, oh, I had an impact. There's a couple of people who are like, yeah, don't do that. Oh, like you said that, but I was thinking, the thing we talk about was my no complaining August.
Oh, yes.
I sent you a link to that. The last year I did no complaining August, and it actually scared me from doing other challenges because it was so amazing. There were like 45 people, which might not be a lot, but you have people going, man, think about that. Because if you try not to complain for a whole month, you realize how many times you complain. And my marketing guy, again, he's like, wow, I didn't realize how much I complain. what are you complaining about? And what does complaining do to your body? Because it has a very real impact on your body. And we complain to other people to bond.
Mm.
It's kind of like gossip. And that's dopamine and that's all those hormones. Those are things we're doing to ourselves. So no complaining August is coming up and people are like, these people, that's so fun. People just sign up and join the Facebook group for No Complaining August.
Yeah, I'll include that link. So this episode will drop before then, which will be perfect to have more people in there. So if you are just needing it's free, right? A free challenge of just being inspired to not complain. Oh, even when I say that, I like feel this like in my gut.
Yeah.
I don't complain very much. And then it's like, have you actually been conscious and aware of when you complain or don't complain? Oh, that's going to be so
I'm totally aware of when I do it. I'm like, most of the time now I go, I'm going to complain and I know I'm going to complain. This is what I need to get this out. But
yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on and just having,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, this conversation. We'll have you on again as you continue to consciously create what's next for you, right? Being, that I had a realization with it was the mastermind at the time. I feel like for me, marketing is just about sharing, right? Sharing what you want to contribute, sharing how you contribute, how you support people. And it's, I was sitting there one day, I'm like, I really don't subscribe to the algorithms. I don't subscribe to, social media strategies and all of that stuff. And then I was like, but you've got to be the leader in that. And if you really believe that and you want to share that with other people, then be the example, And so you're being the example of consciously choosing what's next because you chose to disengage from a path that didn't light you up, that didn't bring the joy that you wanted. And so why go down this, consciously choose the next thing that is not inspiring yourself, right? So being that example.
Watching myself get so excited about No Complaining August.
Exactly.
Free Facebook group. I'm so freaking excited about it.
Exactly. And I don't know, I've watched you put together many workshops. The thing that, just to reflect this back to you, because as a 6'2", I do think reflection is really powerful for a 6'2".
Yep.
You were lit up about Toastmasters.
Oh yeah.
Lit up about your blog. Every time you write something that you share about, what you wrote about, and then lit up about this challenge. And also lit up about it's little now, but who knows what it's going to be, but the community gathering that you've created with your people in your area. And that's all about connection, right? And I'm getting chills. So it's like now just pick, the pieces, and as you consciously choose what's next, I don't know. That's what's so scary and exciting. And for those that are generator types that listen to this, surrender is such an important piece for generator types that if we are truly responding to what's presented to us, we don't actually know truly what the next step is. We can have an idea, we can have a vision. You're a manifesting generator, being in that space of, curiosity of what's actually possible, but then letting go. And when something doesn't feel right, take time to get really curious. I'm not the type, I thankfully had people in my space that are like, is it really something you want to truly walk away from? Or is it something that just needs to be reinvented? Talking about my mastermind. And I'm glad I had some people that reflected that back, because they reflected back how it has supported them and helped them. So it's like, okay, if I reinvent it, how does that feel to me? How does that feel in my body? If I'm there every single week showing up, what does that feel like? And I'm glad it got reinvented. And I'm also in a space of letting it go and being like, okay, what do you want to be? What do you want to be? And when I did that, I've had other people come in that have a similar vision, and there may be some connections of even, I'm going to sneeze, seeing where that goes, and who knows? So, we're.
Bless you.
Sorry. Usually I try and mute these guys, but no, we're
doing it as it is. Well, you're saying when I changed my profile to business and stuff like that, you always have to be more careful what you're doing. And I was like, right, you mean, I was still being me, but you don't want to like promote other people as much, I don't know, on your Facebook and this stuff because it's more about you. But now, even as you're saying that, one of the gifts that I have too is in my human design, is linking people. Even me doing my cacao and there's you and my friends, and then there's the other people that are working with my other people, and we're all like woven together. That's one of the things I do. And if I can't, if my business of my Facebook takes me away from the ability to connect people and promote like I would keep wanting to network. I keep wanting to say mastermind.
Yes.
If that's kept me from promoting your network, or even say Allison has some, her podcast, I don't share those because it's my business page, but that's not working for me. So here we are in real time again, and I have to go back to being who I am, doing what I do. And that'll okay. Yep. We just did it in real time. So
I love that. I can relate to, because my pearl is the 44th gene key, which is all about teamwork and synergy. And if I denied that part of me of not sharing other people's work, because I can't be everything to everyone. And we're shifting in the age of Aquarius where the insights, the downloads are going to come through. And what if part of your journey is to make those connections, and you're not doing that? You're not only denying yourself it's almost like the behind the scenes part, because you don't always get the accolades, and you're not doing it for the accolades. If you're doing the genuine connections, then you're denying yourself and the other people. And it's almost like kind of trying to take responsibility for somebody's journey, right? If you deny a natural innate gift in yourself. And anybody with a 4 in their profile, 4s are that natural networker, and networkers through the heart, the connections through the heart. Right? It's taking my experience and sharing it with other people. And some of those experiences are that this person has this amazing gift to do this. Go there. Yeah. See? Real time. Listening to the insights, following the joy. So, all right. Any final thoughts or
no?
Thank you for being on here with me.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah. And we'll see you soon.
Okay. Yeah, have you on my YouTube channel.
There we go.
You and I can have a conversation.
I like it. All right. We'll talk to you later.
Right.
See you all.
Bye.